Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 29 male, broke up with my ex-girlfriend over 5 years ago when I caught her cheating on me. We had a 7-month-old son that I learned wasn't mine after I demanded a paternity test, and so I was out of his life after that. It hurt going through all that, but what hurt the most was some people in my family being against me leaving my son. Some stopped talking to me. Others I stopped talking to, like my mom, because she still wanted to accept my ex's kid like her first grandchild. So I said fine and cut contact. Last year, I had my first son. We celebrated his 1-year birthday on the 1st of this month. When my girlfriend got pregnant, my mom reached out and wanted to make amends, for us to be in each other's lives. She said that she hasn't had any more contact with X. I was mostly thinking for my son and that it would be nice for him to know his grandma, so I gave her a chance. On the actual day of my son's birthday, my brother saw my mom first and goes, "Oh crap." He saw her getting out of the car with my ex's kid from the window, and he told me. My brother told me he had no idea she was going to bring the kid and said he'll keep her outside if I want. I went outside instead, and my mom had the kid wait in the car while we talked. I was so pissed. I remember yelling at her for trying to bring him to my son's birthday. My mom kept apologizing for hiding it. She just felt really bad because his real dad doesn't want to be involved. And they still have pictures of me and him from when he was a baby, so he still thinks he's my kid. It was hard not to lose any more of my cool, so I just remember saying, "Get the duck out and don't ever come back or bring him around again." It was a whole thing, and everyone who was already there saw it play out. My mom left, and my brothers were trying to cheer me up and get the party back in a happy mood for my son. Some family were in a bad mood and they left early. The crap storm happened after that, and they're mad for how I treated my mom. Even she said something too, that she's hurt how much I disrespected her, and she knows it was wrong to lie, but she was really trying to make it easier on X's son by making him feel part of the family. She really thinks I need to give him a chance because I loved him once. I just hung up on her. Still, everyone's on me, calling me an a-hole for callously kicking her out for having good intentions, even if they were misplaced. Am I the idiot? So let me ask a question, guys. Who is disrespecting who? I think OP's mother is disrespecting her son when bringing an affair child to his son's birthday party. Why this mother feels sorry for a woman who cheated on her son and keeps contact with her but doesn't feel sorry for her own son who was cheated on and hurt. My heart is absolutely broken for that little boy. But who is telling him that the man in his baby pictures is his dad? Clearly his mom is, and OP's mom is letting that happen. She should be ashamed of herself. She knew exactly what would happen. I am my brother and sister-in-law's only relative in the city. When sister-in-law was pregnant, I made it clear that I'd only babysit for them in the case of a serious emergency, e.g., someone has a medical emergency. I won't babysit if they just wanted time off from being parents, because I don't have the free time for that. I work 60 to 100 hours a week, so if anyone needs time off, it's me. Last year, my brother and sister-in-law asked me to babysit on the day of an informal work meeting, a lake retreat organized by my company. Everyone is expected to go, and it's frowned upon if you miss it. They wanted to go on a date. I said no, I have an important work event. They continued to nag me about how they haven't gone on a date for so long. The night before that day, they called in a panic and said their friend Mike from the next city over had been in a car accident, and I needed to babysit nephew for a few hours so that they could go visit Mike. I reluctantly agreed, with the stipulation that they'd be back by 7 a.m. the next day to pick nephew up so I could leave for my work event. They did not come back until 2 days later. I had to cancel on my superior's morning of, which looked awful. My brother and sister-in-law never responded to multiple texts and calls from me. Their excuse was that Mike's life was in danger and they were too busy helping his girlfriend. I accepted that, since I had met both Mike and his girlfriend at a party in the past and thought they were good people, but I emphasized that this absolutely could not happen again. Throughout the next 2 months, my brother and sister-in-law regularly used the excuse of aiding Mike in his recovery and needing to visit him in order to make me babysit my nephew. Mike's girlfriend's company and my company had a meeting 2 months after Mike's accident. I ran into her and asked how Mike was recovering. Apparently, she had no idea he had ever been hospitalized. Neither did Mike. Mike had never been in an accident, and although brother and sister-in-law had gone to visit them recently, it was for drinks and bowling, not bringing them chicken noodle soup in the hospital. I confronted brother and sister-in-law, and they denied at first, but finally admitted that they had been lying about Mike's accident so that they could go on date nights. They claimed that I gave them no choice since I would never help them out when they needed time together because parenting was so stressful and difficult and I had no idea and it was just a little white lie. I made it clear that after this incident, I would never babysit for them again, and I've stuck to that. Yesterday, my brother and sister-in-law begged me to babysit for them because there was an actual medical emergency in sister-in-law's family. They even sent me proof of the relative's hospitalization. I still said no. They didn't care about betraying my trust, so I don't care if they can't afford childcare or if their relative is in the hospital. They said I was a bad aunt, needed to get over my grudge, and a petty a-hole. Am I the idiot? I don't think OP is an idiot at all. It's the most horrible thing to lie about somebody's health. I'm stunned that people can be like this. OP should never ever babysit again, even if they appear in the hospital themselves. Now they get to live with the consequences. I lost my son to congenital heart disease, and he did not survive the open heart surgery at the age of 1 year and 6 months. He was the greatest blessing I had in my life. Everyone kept telling me things will get easier with time. I know that no matter how much time goes by, I'll still be missing my baby and everything sweet about him. Mother-in-law and I were in consistent conflict. Things have always been bad between us, but in those months, we reached our limit. She kept getting involved in my son's treatment and criticizing every decision I made, claiming I didn't know how to handle my son's illness. We went low contact, but she kept causing issues occasionally. My husband was torn between our son's illness and his mother's issues. When my son passed away, she came to the funeral and caused a scene by arguing with me, knowing I had no energy for it. She used the fact that everyone was there so she could say it was my fault my son was born sick and I didn't take care of him properly. That I didn't listen to her when she suggested other ways to treat his condition, and that I was the one who took their grandchild away from them and caused them heartache. She then loudly called me a bad mother. I have no idea how I kept my composure and kept standing on both feet. My mom and sisters responded by telling her to leave. My husband was sitting down crying. She then went to tell everyone I kicked her out as a way to hurt her further and lied that I convinced my husband to ban her from visiting her grandson's grave. My husband later sent his side of the family an email talking about my mother-in-law's behavior during and after our son's illness, and telling them he no longer will be seeing her. That had the family criticizing us, saying mother-in-law was just trying to do what was best for her grandbaby and called us selfish for assuming we're the only ones struggling with this tragedy. We haven't seen his mom in 1 year and 8 months. I'm now 3 months pregnant. No one knew, only my sister-in-law, brother-in-law's wife, but word got out, though we told her not to say anything. A week later, I had family members saying I was invited to a dinner hosted by mother-in-law so she could both apologize in front of the whole family and settle this issue before the baby's born. They said mother-in-law was regretful and offered to financially provide for her grandbaby, and they want to see that. I refused, but my husband, surprisingly, wants me to go. I had his grandparents calling me, telling me that I'm a person with a good heart and forgiveness is something I'm capable of giving. I told them I'll never be sitting at the same table with the person who called me a bad mother at my child's funeral. I still remember it vividly till this very day. My sister said this change of heart from mother-in-law is probably for the new baby. It could be, but I insisted I won't come. They're saying I'm making it hard for everyone to move on and past this unresolved pain and should really go. I think it's totally OP's right not to forgive her mother-in-law. Mother-in-law is the lowest of the low. She doesn't deserve forgiveness for how she treated grieving OP. I don't think mother-in-law would want to apologize if not for the new baby on the way. I think if she truly wanted to apologize, she would have done so before. She is just doing this as a way of stepping foot inside this new pregnancy so she can express her dominance once again. I'm sorry that OP has to go through this. I think OP shouldn't let mother-in-law anywhere near her pregnancy. We can agree 2020 was a crap year, particularly for my 29 male family. We lost our dad beginning of the year after he had a heart attack, and my little brother, 12, had no one to take care of him. Our mom died when he was 3, so our dad was all we had left. I fought for custody and was appointed his legal guardian. Honestly, it hasn't been easy. We're still adjusting to these life changes, and my brother is taking it the hardest. For months, he was just not himself. Bad attitude, lashing out. I got him in therapy because I knew he was just hurting, plus stress of pandemic. His behavior has improved so much since then, even if sometimes there's days where he's withdrawn. Days before Christmas, he was feeling sad since it was our first holiday without Dad. That day, he asked to be alone. We had a talk to discuss his feelings, and I gave him his space after that. My girlfriend was over that day, and I went out to buy groceries. When I got back, my brother was out of his room and helping out. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Yesterday, my brother and I were having some guy time before going back home to get ready for New Year's Eve. My brother opened up about how grateful he is for everything, and he hopes that I don't change my mind about taking care of him. I asked why he'd think that, and he told me what happened. The day when I was out, my girlfriend went to his room to tell him he needs to change his attitude and stop moping, her exact words, because he should be grateful I'm taking care of him at all, and that we can still hand him over to the state if we wanted to. I was furious about this and had to reassure him that was never going to happen because he really was worried about it. We went home. I confronted my girlfriend and she didn't deny it. She told me it's true and there was nothing wrong with telling him to stop acting like that when he should be grateful I gave up my life to take care of him. And the thing about giving him up isn't that big of a deal to her because it's not like I'll actually do it. I said she scared him with that threat and told her to leave my apartment because, honestly, I was too far mad and because I didn't want to be near her right now. She started crying. There was more fighting, but she left in the end. It was just me and my brother for New Year's. Since last night, I've been bombarded with calls from all our friends for kicking her out, knowing she has no family and nobody else to spend the holiday with. Everyone has sided with her, and even my best friend says I may have overreacted by making her leave when she probably thought she was helping. They've heard my side of the story, but still think I was an ass for making her cry and spending the new year alone. I'm having trouble seeing how I could be, so here I am looking for internet strangers to weigh in on this. I think the girl is heartless. These boys have lost their family. She doesn't understand how hard it is for them. And she is making it even harder for the little brother, putting doubts in his head. I think OP made the best choice to dump the girl. There is no future in such a horrible person. His friends are terrible as well. Who sides with the person who tells a child who lost both parents something so hurtful? Idiots. I hope OP will find a nice new girlfriend. Update. I know I've only posted this a few hours ago, but I've had a day to clear my head and really think about this. I talked to my brother because I wanted to know if she said anything else to him. Thankfully, she hasn't, and we had another serious chat to remind him everything she told him is completely false. I would never in a million years give him up, and that shouldn't have been put in his head. Another thing I told him was that I'm grateful he's here with me. Without him, I wouldn't have made it through the year, and thanked him for giving me that strength to keep going. Now, I know you all were waiting on this news. Yes, I did break up with her. Thinking about what a lot of you said, talking to my brother about how this made him feel, and my own thoughts about how badly she acted, I decided that's not someone I want around me or him. I can't risk her doing something like this again and ruining any progress he makes in therapy. I know many of you think I should have done it on the spot, but I wanted to make the decision with a clear head and not when my emotions were extremely high. She came by my place earlier and we talked outside. Her reaction was as bad as you'd expect, and she still believed she did nothing wrong, even after I explained it all to her. There was just no making her understand, and I told her it was over. I gave her a couple of her things that were lying around my apartment, and she left. My phone started going off like an hour later, so I had to put it on Do Not Disturb. That's all the drama I could handle for one night. I'll deal with my friends some other time. Honestly, I'm exhausted, mentally and emotionally drained right now. I think this weekend we'll do something to get our minds off this. I definitely need it after everything, and I know my brother does too. It's been a hard year already without all this extra drama.